There are moments in life when everything feels heavy, even without reason. You wake up exhausted, not because you didn't sleep, but because something deeper, something older weighs you down. Despite your effort to grow, to heal, and to choose better, life seems to deliver the same lessons in different forms. You may be encountering the effects of karmic debt, ancestral, psychological, and emotional weight carried unconsciously through time. Carl Jung, the famed Swiss psychologist, offered a profound way to understand karma, not as divine punishment, but as unconscious memory passed through generations. To Jung, our psyche is not a blank slate. We inherit stories, wounds, compulsions, and unresolved energy, all of which can subtly shape our lives until we face and integrate them. But how do we know when we've truly done the work? How can we recognize when the debt is paid and a new cycle has begun? Jung taught that individuation, the process of becoming whole, is the soul's deepest calling. And within this journey, there are signs that our karmic debt is being cleared. Here, we explore 4 powerful indicators that your soul is no longer ruled by the past and that you're stepping into freedom, purpose, and peace. Sign number 1, you stop repeating emotional patterns. Karmic debt often shows up in recurring emotional experiences. You may find yourself constantly drawn to the same types of relationships or challenges. Abandonment, betrayal, rejection, or self-sabotage. These cycles echo through your life, shifting only in form, but never in essence. It's like reading the same painful chapter over and over again with different characters. But healing begins quietly. One day, you recognize the red flags sooner. Your body, more than your mind, starts to alert you before the chaos arrives. You pause. You walk away, not because you're forcing yourself to resist, but because you're no longer the person who needs that lesson. Your nervous system, once addicted to certain dynamics, no longer reacts out of habit. You've changed at a root level. Carl Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What he meant was that our unresolved inner material, our hidden beliefs, fears, and traumas, shapes our lives until we shine awareness on them. When that happens, the old pattern loses its grip. You no longer mistake repetition for destiny. And with that shift comes grief, not always for the pain, but for the time spent trapped in it. There is grace too. You begin to forgive, not to excuse, but to release. The story that once defined your emotional life becomes a memory instead of a magnet. You don't need to repeat the cycle to prove you've learned. You're already living the answer. Sign number 2. You feel peace, independent of circumstances. After the storm of emotional repetition subsides, something unexpected emerges. Stillness. It's subtle at first. You might be drinking tea, staring out the window, and suddenly realize you're not anxious, you're not scanning for danger, you're not waiting for the next emotional earthquake. You're just here. This is peace, not because your life is perfect, but because your relationship to it has transformed. To Jung, the soul does not crave perfection, it craves wholeness. And wholeness doesn't mean everything is fixed or tidy. It means you've stopped pushing parts of yourself away. You've accepted your story and now hold it with compassion. When karmic debt is still active, your inner world is noisy. Guilt, shame, fear, they churn beneath the surface, keeping you alert and restless. But when the loop finally dissolves, the soul exhales. Life feels less like something to control and more like something to experience. You're no longer reacting from old wounds. You're responding from presence. Most importantly, this peace is not performative. You're not trying to prove you're okay. You just are. There's a deep, quiet trust forming within you that no matter what happens, you will remain whole. You're no longer orbiting around a wound. You've found your center. Sign number 3. You begin to receive without resistance. One of the most striking signs that karmic debt has been cleared is that life begins to meet you with grace. Where once you had to fight, hustle, or prove your worth, now things arrive with less struggle. Love finds you, opportunities open, support shows up. Not because you stopped working, but because the resistance is gone. When the unconscious carries guilt, shame, or ancestral patterns of scarcity, it acts as a filter. You may unknowingly block your own abundance, not because you don't want good things, but because deep down, you believe you don't deserve them. Jung viewed the unconscious not just as a storage space, but as the architect of our reality. It subtly shapes how we see the world and how the world responds. As these internal barriers dissolve, you stop attracting pain as a mirror. More importantly, you stop choosing it. You stop chasing people who don't see you. You stop overgiving to earn love. Instead, you accept goodness, not as a reward for your suffering, but as a natural rhythm of your healed soul. You don't flinch when love stays. You don't brace yourself for joy to end. You trust it. And in doing so, you live not in reaction to the past, but in alignment with your worth. This shift doesn't mean everything is easy, but it does mean you're no longer addicted to the struggle. You receive with gratitude, not guilt. Sign number 4, you are pulled toward purpose, not survival. The final sign that your karmic debt has been cleared is a profound internal pivot from survival to purpose. For much of your life, you may have moved through the world anxiously, defending, avoiding, bracing for impact. But once the wounds are no longer steering your choices, a different voice begins to emerge. It's not a loud, demanding voice. It's a quiet tug, a question whispered from within. What am I really here for? You begin to feel drawn, not to fix yourself, but to express yourself. Maybe you're called to create, to teach, to serve. Your pain becomes less of a burden and more of a map. You start to imagine a future not centered on avoiding harm, but on building legacy. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That privilege becomes available the moment fear stops governing your choices. Purpose rises, not out of desperation, but out of clarity. You're no longer performing roles to earn worth. You're embodying your truth. You speak more freely. You make decisions that honor your values. You stop measuring your life by what you escaped and begin focusing on what you're creating. Life becomes less about defense and more about devotion. You aren't running anymore. You're arriving. Final reflections. From karma to clarity. This journey is not simply about recognizing these signs intellectually. It's about feeling them in your body, your heart, and your daily experience. Transformation is not a performance. It's not about proving enlightenment. It's a quiet, embodied shift that whispers, "You're free now." At the end of this road, there's no scoreboard waiting to tally your deeds. There is only you, clearer, lighter, rooted. Karma, as Jung might frame it, is not cosmic punishment, but a mirror. A mirror reflecting all that is unintegrated in you. And when you finally meet that mirror with honesty and grace, it dissolves. What remains is not just growth, it's liberation. So tonight, light a candle, not in grief, but in reverence. Acknowledge the ending of an ancient cycle. Honor the soul that endured, evolved, and emerged whole. You owe no more. The debt is paid. The past is no longer your master. Now, walk forward, not as someone running from the shadows, but as someone becoming the light. You're not escaping a painful story. You're writing a new one, crafted not from karma, but from clarity. not from fear, but from purpose. And in that, you are finally fully free.